everyone, my name is Emma and welcome back to my channel. I hope that you guys are doing well. For today's video, I have some really exciting plans for you guys. We're going to be heading to a Hobbit Hole to spend the weekend reading and just enjoying a cozy weekend out in nature, kind of disconnected from everything. So I hope that you will follow along with me as we journey to our Hobbit Hole and spend a lot of time reading. So before we head for the weekend, I wanted to kind of go over my reading plans for you guys. Before we get there, we do have a little bit of a drive, so I wanted to share what I'm going to be reading on the drive and then what I'm hoping to read when we actually get there. So my reading plans for the car are The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I am about halfway through with this one. And then finishing Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. I am literally so close to being done with Jane Eyre and so excited to see how it wraps up. So these are kind of my highest priority. Definitely want to finish reading these on the drive up to the Hobbit Hole. And then when we get to the Hobbit Hole, I wanted to bring a few different options with me just in case I wasn't sure what I would be feeling. So my first pick is What Am I, a Deer by Polly Barton, and this is my April book of the month pick. It is one of their offset collection books, so it's one of the ones that focuses more on like the writing technique and creative approach to writing. So I am definitely excited to give that a try. I really am not 100% sure what it's about yet, but the synopsis sounded pretty interesting in terms of just some of the themes that it's thinking about. So I am excited to get into that one. And then last week, my husband read Dark Matter by Blake Crouch, and I think he enjoyed it. We actually haven't had a chance to talk about it yet because we've both been really busy this week, but we have really been loving this year reading a lot of the same books and then being able to talk about them. And Dark Matter is one that has been on my list for reading before we go overseas anyway, so I figure what better time than now to read this one when I have my husband readily available to talk with me about it. So I'm very excited about it. And then my third book is definitely a total genre change from Dark Matter. It is The Lady's Mind by Francine Rivers. This one is definitely a romance book talking about some faith elements and that kind of thing as well. It is set in the California Gold Rush, I believe. I wanted to bring this one because I have been meaning to read it for a very long time, and I figured it would be a good spring read as well. So those are my reading plans for while we are on the way and then when we are at the Hobbit Hole. So we are about to hit the road. We're gonna be stopping in town for a little bit before we go, and then we'll just be on our way. I hope that you guys enjoy following along this journey with me as we head to a Hobbit Hole. So as you can see, we have made it to the Hobbit Hole, so I thought it would be fun to give you guys a little bit of a tour of where we will be staying and doing all of our reading this weekend. So follow me. So this is the inside of the Hobbit Hole. As you can see, it's just kind of one big room. There's the bed over here, which will be a nice little reading spot. And then on this side, there is like a living room and a kitchenette area with microwave and fridge and stuff. We already went to the store and picked up some groceries and stuff when we were out, so that is all kind of handled. And then we also brought some board games from home so that we can play some board games whenever we need a little bit of a break. And then over here there is also just a bathroom. So yeah, that is the Hobbit Hole where we will be staying this weekend and doing our reading challenge. So I hope you guys enjoy. So I also just wanted to point out that this is the inside, or like the opposite side of the Hobbit Hole door, and what like a perfect place this is for reading. Like just the perfect way to sit back and chillax and read a book. So I will definitely be spending some time here reading this weekend. Okay, so I also just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a reading update on kind of what reading I got done on the drive. I didn't end up reading as much as I wanted to because I was trying to handle some different life stuff while we were driving up, but I did continue reading The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and I probably read like 50 or so pages of it, and I'm now on page 244. I hadn't talked about this book yet on the channel, but I was kind of explaining to my husband that I am a little bit disappointed based on just things that I've heard about it already. I know that it's a pretty highly rated book on Goodreads. It's like a 4.1 star with like 600,000 ratings, which means that a lot of people have rated it a 5-star book, and so I was expecting a little bit more. I think for me the biggest things are like, one thing I just can't get over is that the main love interest in the book calls the girl Lemon, like in all kinds of situations. Like that's just always what he calls her, and it's like a pet name, but it's kind of like overdone a little bit. Like I get the nickname, but it's just a little bit overdone for me, and so it's kind of taking away a lot because whenever he says it, which is like every few lines when he's talking to her, I'm like, oh yeah, she's lemon, okay? So that was a part that I wasn't really enjoying. I also just personally felt like it was very instant attraction. I think that it kind of makes sense possibly for the character, for Clementine, to have kind of instant attraction because she is kind of going through grief and that kind of thing, and that could kind of be playing into it a little bit, but for me it just felt a little bit fast, even for what it is. So that is just how I am feeling about it so far. I do think that the setting is really interesting, and I like her being a book publicist. I also like the time travel element of it, that the apartment only will work when she's not expecting to go back, and how that's kind of playing into the drama and all of that. I think that is really well done and is kind of dragging or pulling me along in the story and making me want to continue. Not sure how I feel about this yet. I think that it still has a lot of great potential to kind of make a comeback and for there to be some big reveals, but I'm kind of like wondering what the reveals are going to be, because I feel like a lot of things have already been revealed and we're pretty early on. Well, I'm not that early on in the book anymore, but when they were revealed, I was early on in the book, if that makes sense. So that is my reading update from the drive. Again, didn't read as much as I wanted to, but was handling life and all of those fun things. We are probably going to get ready to go out and have dinner, and then we will come back and we're going to do s'mores tonight, which is really exciting. We got chocolate and marshmallows and graham crackers, and we're going to go try and find, there's like this guy's son sells wood here, so we're gonna pick up some wood for that and do a little bonfire tonight, and then probably shower off the smoke and head inside and read. So that will kind of be our evening plan, but yeah. Next day, so I'm back with a little bit of a reading update. We went out to dinner last night and had a super fun time, and then came back and did a bonfire and s'mores, and I got to read around the fire, which was very relaxing, so that was nice. We've just had kind of a slower morning today. We got up and had breakfast and everything, and we've been reading a little bit, so that has been really nice, but I have made some significant reading progress, so I wanted to hop on and share with you guys. First of all, last night while we were around the fire, I finished reading The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston, and I am going to give this one a 3 stars. I thought that it was okay. I really liked the idea of the time traveling apartment, and I had a really good time with that. I also really enjoyed a lot of the friendships and stuff that were happening in the book. There is the main character has best friends, and then the love interest also has a couple best friends, and I really liked reading about those relationships, and I really enjoyed reading about the aunt's kind of relationship as well, especially her relationship to Clementine, the main character. I thought was really interesting, but personally the romance felt a little bit rushed to me and kind of didn't make a lot of sense. The two characters just really didn't know each other for that long to have developed such like a deep relationship, I guess, and so that just didn't really resonate with me. I also just found that the story was not as deep as I wanted it to be. I think that the author definitely touched on a lot of themes and touched on a lot of heavy themes and did a good job at addressing those, and I did find those parts of the book really well done as well. There's some darker stuff going on with the aunt that the author did a really good job talking about, but I think as far as the rest of the plot goes, I was a little bit underwhelmed in terms of how fast everything happened and the relationship between the main character and the love interest as well. But I did like the setting and the atmosphere of the book and all of that. I think it was just more of the plot kind of threw me off. It was not what I was expecting in a lot of ways. So it was a good book. I definitely enjoyed it, but didn't rate it as high as I thought I would just based on the expectations I had on what I've heard from other people in the Goodreads ratings. So that is The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. And then before bed last night, I I read a little bit more of Jane Eyre and ended up finishing it this morning. I had about 50 or 60 pages left and I read 50 pages this morning to finish it, and it was so good. I have been reading this book for 6 weeks following the Literary Life podcast kind of release schedule and have really enjoyed getting to kind of follow along and listen to the podcast episodes for it as they come out. I feel like that has really helped me to kind of ground myself in the story and give a little bit more of the context, so that has been really helpful and definitely added to the reading experience. There's also been a lot of people in my life that like this is one of their favorite books, or it is their favorite book, or it's just a book that they really liked, so getting to kind of talk with them and give my theories like at different points that I've been in the book has been really fun. And so there's definitely been a lot of different expectations I've had, or things that haven't happened that I thought were gonna happen and that kind of thing, so it threw me for a loop all the way to the end, and I definitely wasn't expecting a lot of the things that happened in the book. I think I thought that it was gonna focus on a certain setting for most of the time, and that was actually only part of the book, so that was really interesting as well. It was just so much richer and deeper than I thought it was going to be, and I really loved the characters. Jane Eyre is just such an inspirational character. She is so strong in her beliefs and what she feels and about being true to herself and giving herself grace when she doesn't feel like she's where she's supposed to be, or when other people are telling her that she's supposed to be a certain way, she doesn't feel like she has to live up to those expectations. She's very willing to be true to her heart and to what she thinks is important, and so that was really cool to read about and cool to see how that interacted with a lot of the other characters and their dynamics in the book, and so I really enjoyed that aspect. I also really enjoyed kind of the different themes that are being discussed. There's different looks at how people approach faith and approach like duty, and so that was really interesting to read about. For such a long book, I also felt like I was probably going to get bored at certain points, and I really didn't feel that way. I felt like things kind of shifted around enough, or there was enough details, or the reason for chapters being longer or being in a setting for longer was to kind of explore more, was really well done, and so I never really felt like I was getting bored or felt like it was taking too long or things could have been edited down. I really felt like everything that was in this was necessary, which is very impressive for basically an almost 600 page book. This is like 578 pages, so that is definitely very impressive, that I just never got bored and never felt like, man, when is this gonna end? And it kind of feels weird to be done with it now, because I feel like there's still like more to the story, more to what happens with Jane after the ending of the book for sure, that I would love to know about. But yeah, I definitely really love all of the characters in this book and love that it was totally different from what I was expecting, so I would definitely give Jane Eyre a 5-star. So that is what I've been up to last night and then this morning, and so now I'm going to go ahead and hop into reading What Am I, a Deer by Polly Barton. The synopsis kind of describes this book as looking at whether or not losing yourself is something that you should aim for, and it talks about a character who is trying to reinvent herself by starting a new job at a new company, and it looks like runs into someone on a train that kind of starts to loom large in her thoughts, and so that is kind of what the book will be exploring. I really don't know much else about it other than that what is in the blurb, but I'm definitely excited to get started reading this. Our plans for today are basically just to read until a little bit before dinner. We're gonna head to a bookstore for dinner to kind of check that out, and then have dinner, and we'll come back and probably do pretty similar to what we did last night, just having s'mores, chilling by the bonfire, and enjoying being here because it's our last night here, which is sad but also good. So that is what we'll be up to for today, and I will update you guys whenever I have another reading update. Much later in the day now. We have already had dinner and everything and just spent a large part of the day reading and chillaxing. There's also this big like jump pillow thing where we're staying, so we went and jumped on that before lunch and then after dinner again as well, just because it was really fun and there's like nothing like that where we're from. So we had a really good time doing that and just spending a lot of time reading. So I am about halfway through What Am I, a Deer by Polly Barton. I'm on page like 121 now, and it is definitely really interesting. So like I think I said when was talking about this book originally, it is an offset choice for book of the month, which means that it's a little bit different from what they usually would put out as their picks. It is a book that really focuses on like writing and creativity. It focuses just a little bit more on the experimental side of writing, and this is definitely that. It opens with a prologue that is set in second person, and I was really scared at first that the whole book was going to be set in second person because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get through it if it was, just because that can be kind of challenging sometimes. But it was just the prologue, and I think it worked to kind of get us in the mindset of the character. The rest of the book is told in third person, and we don't really ever get the name of the main character. It's just constantly referring to her as she, and we're following her as she moved from London to Frankfurt, Germany to start a new job at a gaming company as a translator and kind of reinvent herself. She is having to form all new relationships and that kind of thing because she has left her whole life in London behind, and so it's just kind of following her through that story. Also, really early on in the book, she runs into a guy on the train that she finds really attractive and can't stop thinking about, and so it's kind of following her through that as well, because I think he works at the same company that she works at, and so she sees him around, and he is also obviously riding the same train as her a lot of the time, and so she sees him then, and so it's kind of following her thoughts surrounding all of that and her thoughts surrounding reinventing herself. This book is definitely a lot more on the like internal monologue side. Even though it's told from third person, it's constantly saying the things that the main character is thinking and like how she's really feeling about things, and so it definitely feels like very stream of consciousness writing, and it feels very honest and very vulnerable because it's asking a lot of questions that I think a lot of people ask and thinking about a lot of things that a lot of people think about, but it's not like polite to think about those things or like not good to bring those things up in society. And so it's really just interesting and refreshing to kind of read about those questions in a way that is not even like trying to be covered up by story. It's just her overtly kind of questioning these things and wondering these things as she's reinventing herself in a new job. That's a very relatable setup, I'm sure, for a lot of people. So yeah, I'm definitely really enjoying this. It is definitely a different writing style than most of the books that are coming out now. Like I said, you don't really feel necessarily super attached to the character, and we're not really like in it for the plot's sake, if that makes sense. We're definitely just more of following her and following her thoughts. It's really kind of a thought experiment book, and I really have been enjoying it so far as well. So that is where I'm at with What Am I, a Deer? We are gonna have another kind of chill, cozy night. We're gonna do another bonfire and make s'mores because we don't have the ability to do that where we normally live. So I'm very excited to just get to relax, unwind, do those things, probably get a little bit more reading done, maybe play a board game, and just enjoy spending time together before we head home tomorrow. So I will keep you guys posted if I do any more reading. But other than that, that's just my update for now. It is now Sunday morning and we are getting ready to leave. I made a little bit more progress in What Am I, a Deer by Polly Barton last night, but not much more progress to have really anything else to say about it other than I am interested to see how the story kind of continues. It's definitely interesting because I don't feel super connected necessarily to our main character because we don't even know her name, but at the same time I really resonate with a lot of the different questions she's asking and experiences that she's having as somebody that's trying to reinvent herself, I guess. Not that I'm trying to necessarily reinvent myself, just that those are questions that we've all asked at different points in our lives. So that has definitely been a really cool part of this book. As far as my husband's reading goes, he is almost all the way through Red Rising and has enjoyed it very much so far, so I will let you guys know what he ends up thinking about that one probably when we get back. But we are just packing up and leaving now and heading home, so I will give you guys kind of a final update on where the reading things are when we get home, but that will pretty much be it, and I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Alright everyone, we are back home now from the Hobbit Hole, and we really enjoyed our little adventure there and just getting to spend the weekend reading and enjoying being together. While we were driving back, I continued reading What Am I, a Deer by Polly Barton, and I just finished it a few minutes ago. I had a few pages left when we got home, so I wanted to go ahead and finish it so I could give it a little bit of a review at the end of this video. But I think I'm gonna end up rating this a 3.5 star. Like I've been saying, this book was definitely about the experimental style of the writing, and I really enjoyed reading something that's written differently from the way that a lot of things are written right now. It was very interesting to read about a character that was completely in third person because we just don't experience that. We never get the first name of this character. Also, she's dating a guy for most of the time in this book, and we don't get his name. He's always referred to as the stylish man, and so that's interesting as well. It was just very intriguing to kind of follow along with her thought processes as she was kind of dealing with this crush that she had, feelings about her company, thinking about who she is and identity, and all of those kinds of things were really interesting. This book was just very interesting as kind of a thought experiment about what it's like to be inside someone's internal monologue, and I think that Barton really captured kind of an internal monologue very well. It was just very honest, genuine feelings that a lot of us would feel uncomfortable, I guess, even giving voice to because they're so raw and so vulnerable. But that made this book pretty appealing to me, even if it had things that I might not necessarily agree with or things I don't relate to. It was just interesting to see a person being so vulnerable inside their head, and so I definitely got a lot out of it because of that. I do feel like the story didn't really necessarily go anywhere, and there wasn't really any big resolution, and not that there needed to be a big resolution. This book I felt like just ended up back where it started in a lot of ways, where the character is not really sure of who she is and doesn't feel very resolved, but at the same time she is more resolved to be who she is and to kind of open up to other people, and so I felt like that was kind of a good resolution at the end of the book. I don't know that I would necessarily read stuff like this all the time. It is definitely, like I've said, very experimental writing, but definitely interesting and worth a read if you want to see a different style of writing that you're not really used to. So with that, we come to the end of this vlog. I hope that you guys enjoyed coming along with me to the Hobbit Hole. We made a lot of great reading progress. We finished reading The 7 Year Slip, Jane Eyre, and started and finished What Am I, a Deer by Polly Barton. So I feel like that is pretty good reading progress for about a 24-hour reading challenge. I really enjoyed getting to spend time in nature, just disconnected from everything for a little bit and falling into fictional worlds, and I hope that you kind of got a sense of that through this video too. I very much enjoyed sharing this experience with you guys, and I hope that you have enjoyed it as well. Let me know in the comments down below what books you guys are reading, and if you have any spring break plans or any summer trip plans, where is your kind of dream vacation destination? I would love to know down below. But yeah, that is all I have for today's video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!